Hi, Jackie. All right, I'm going to do your past life wisdom and healing service. So, we've done some pretty cool soul rebirth journey work, and even where Cryon showed up, and there was all kinds of wisdom about quantum healing. And I mean, I was kind of dumbfounded by it all. So, we're going to just explore some more of that wisdom, try to connect you with something that came through in the soul rebirth journeys of something of the kind that felt like some sort of quantum healing high priestess. So I'm going to relax and then we'll see what comes up, okay? I'm really curious to see what they share. So I'm just connecting with you now. I hear a loud voice that is echoing in the background. When I say I'm connecting with you now, I hear it say I am connecting with you now, echoing. There's a really wide open space. There is water. Everything is sort of a reflection is the way I experience it. I'm on a boat of some kind. The water is gentle. There's not waves or anything. The boat is kind of in the shape of a canoe, but doesn't feel like a Native American type of canoe. I would say more like something Greek. I don't know, though. It's not coming through what it is. So we're just on the boat on, I don't know if this is a lake or what, but it's dark and I'm looking off into the horizon. There are no stars in the sky. There's no moon. I'm inspired to touch the water. I am inspired to go deeper. I jump into the water, and when I do, I discover that I have ropes around me that are holding my arms to my body. And I'm just going down, down. I'm trying to get out of the ropes. I'm going down head first. I'm releasing bubbles. I feel like a suffocation experience. I'm really trying to get loose out of the ropes. So not only my hands are tied against my body like this, so there's ropes all the way around me, but also my wrists are tied behind my back as well. So I'm trying to wiggle out of ropes, and the water's coming in my nose, and I'm just like trying to move my way out. I'm releasing air, and I'm starting to suffocate, and I'm going down, down, down further. It's dark everywhere. It's interesting because when I stop struggling, and I just relax, I go limp. I mean, I'm basically dying right now, but all of the ropes just come off on their own, even from my hands and then from around my body. I'm just relaxed and I'm sinking to the bottom of the ocean. I open my eyes and I seem transformed. Not a human who needs air, but a human who could relax under the water. Even put my hands behind my head and just look up to see what is the water rippling up, way up high. Is sort of my sky now. I see what would be a denser reflection is still laying back like this. A more spiritual reflection comes out of the body itself and is looking around now too. There's another entity here as well that is doing work on this denser version's feet. That spiritual version is just walking on the bottom. There's sand down here. It's just dark everywhere. There's some odd sneeze that happens and some white energy comes out that lifts up to the surface. There's another massive thing. I mean, I just pulled out the biggest sword I've ever seen in my life. It's like it was under a microscope, so it was super huge. I just pulled it out of here from that denser body's reflection just laying on the shore bottom like this. I pulled it out of here, and as I pulled out, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Once I brought it up to the surface, it was just a normal sized sword. That white energy went all the way up to the surface too. I don't know what it's doing from there. There's something else being removed from the mouth. There's something else being removed from here around the head region. There's so much going on here. I'm supposed to tell you this other entity, it's like a cryon reflection. What does that mean? How do I define it? I thought it was interesting because this morning I noticed I talk to Cryon on a regular basis. And sometimes I don't talk to him. And I thought it was interesting because I hadn't talked to him for several months, and I recognized that he was there when I was waking up this morning, and it was a really nice surprise. And so I was just talking to him this morning, and I was surprised that even after I'd eaten breakfast, he was still here. And then I was surprised that, even when I went to warm up my coffee after a few hours, he was still here. So now, once I sat down to do this work, I was thinking back to those soul rebirth journeys. And then I was like, well, no wonder you've been here, because I was going to connect with you today. And I'm not surprised that you are a part of this wisdom. I'm not surprised at all. Cryon always, when I see him, doesn't mean you're going to see him this way. When I see him, he always looks like a dark energy being. There's nothing wrong with being a dark energy being. He has a really amazing, loving heart. That's just how I perceive him. And so he is here doing energy work to help with some release of old energy, is the best I could describe it. Why Spirit is choosing this direction, I don't know, but this is what your needs are associated with. They're talking about it's important that you know you're not drowning. I don't know what's going on in your life. This would be the scene that they are showing me. We're on a boat going out into the middle of nowhere, basically. We already were kind of in the middle of the nowhere. And now you are being thrown into the water with no help. I'm just basically being left to your own, whatever happens to you on your own. You're struggling and struggling. You're seeing sort of the end. And once you stop struggling, now you are able to transform into something greater. All this is happening underwater. You must have a real connection with water. So this new version of you is swimming up to the surface now. They're asking me how you will breathe above the surface when you are now retuned to be able to breathe underwater. These are all energy patterns and reflections, so I have to explore what this means. They're showing me a scene where you're like a complicated puzzle energetically. And so when I connect with you, there are always these really extraordinary scenes. And so for me, as I am examining how I can create the right balance and harmony for your complicated energy pattern, there is quite a goddess of energy coming towards me. She too is of a sort of a dark energy reflection, but around her is fire. So it looks like she's made out of liquid oil or something that's more dense, all right? The body of a female, no clothing on, and then surrounding her is flame, and then above her head, and then even kind of dipped into it like this, and then going straight up like a hat, is also made out of either flame or really extraordinary light. In this experience, I feel a sense of bewilderment, and in that sense of bewilderment, I say I need higher guidance in order to solve the puzzle. And this woman is coming towards me. She knows, she's quite profound. She doesn't need to know who she is. She is so balanced in the totality of all. She already knows everything. She knows who she is. She knows her purpose. It's the fascinating thing is, as a human being, we need facts. We need lots and lots and lots and lots of facts. And even having 100,000 facts about our soul, it still doesn't seem to breed enough wisdom to create satisfaction, you know? She doesn't need facts. She just blended in the satisfaction of all knowing. That's the only way to define her essence. She is shedding this sort of darker energy palette so I can see her body. She's got such a thin gown. I mean, you can see how it rests against her form, so it defines her form quite clearly. You wouldn't have known that she had clothing on. I'm examining her. I'm waiting. We are looking at all the scenes. There's something really fast taking place. It's faster than I can translate it. And there's no emotion to help me define it. It's just fast calculations and connections. Okay, I'm supposed to tell you. So that version of you that came to the boat is on the side of the boat. I too am on the side of the boat with you, examining the question of how now can you breathe out of water? And so I'm exploring the puzzle of what does that mean? Why did you have to heal underwater in the first place? What happened to that other energy reflection? What is the white thing and the this and the that? I'm going through the catalog of all these things very, very quickly and exploring really fast what is the energy vibration of everything. And as I'm doing that, I'm concocting some sort of understanding about you. But it's almost too complex. I need help. And so this woman is now here. She's standing in the boat looking at us both. We are both looking up at her. She is reaching her hand down to you and asking you to get on the boat now. You need to see your higher self, she says. I seem to have an eyeball in my mouth as I'm watching as a third party this event taking place. I've got an eyeball in my mouth. And I'm just like, eyeball in my mouth, eyes open, watching. She's spinning the boat. You both are looking into, she's very tall in comparison to you. She's looking into your eyes. So your eyes are looking back at hers looking into yours. And so you're just looking into each other's eyes. She's spinning the boat like this. I'm just an observer. I'm basically invisible, although I can see myself. But the boat is just starting to spin faster and faster. You're starting to blend with her as it spins. You're starting to levitate to her size, so your hearts are beating exactly over top each other the same. You're starting to grow into her reflection. Your shoulders and arms and head, neck, legs, everything are starting to grow into her body. Your higher self. You're starting to grow into your higher self. This is a big deal. I need to focus and concentrate. You're levitated above, you're looking, you have an eye that's all-seeing eye that sees. You see naturally without hesitation. You just see. You have a contemplation, and then you just see everything associated with it. You have a consciousness that is functional at such a high level that it doesn't resist the wisdom. You could see something terrifying and have absolutely no emotion you just are accepting of what you see. You could see lots of patterns of wisdom associated with one single contemplative thought. You just see. You're standing, it's like whatever the structure is on top of a cliff, and whatever the structure, so there's a cliff that goes up like this, kind of. And this structure is so on sort of close to the edge of the cliff, and then it goes straight up. And so you're this sort of balcony piece where you're standing looking you feel so high up. You feel so insanely high up in the sky because you're on the sort of edge of a really super tall cliff. The structure is built on the side of the cliff, and so you are looking across a horizon. You can see so much. Just visibly in your physical reality, you see so much. But this part of you is a constant, such a massive eyeball. And the way that you're sort of feel about reality is of such a high vibration. I mean, what happens when there's no ego? What happens? Do you know what happens when the ego goes quiet? You're suddenly able to tolerate extraordinary amounts of insanely high spiritual wisdom in a physically dense body. The ego makes it very hard to tolerate certain versions of wisdom because your emotions are so intertwined. You're feeling things all the time. You're fearing things all the time. You're questioning things. You're not understanding things. You're pushing things away. You're doing all of these things with your ego constantly. There's no ego associated with this woman who's standing way up the top of all of this, and then the super I. She has a single thought, and now she is processing it like a computer, and that way she's able to tolerate many scenes, many images, many different planets, many different faces, many different levels of consciousness, be able to see all kinds of things. The reality is she feels really high up in vibration, in her status. There's nobody else here in this moment. It is only her. So let's say you have millions and millions of, I feel emotional, I'm scared, oh my God, what does that mean? I'm seeing things in my third eye, I can't tolerate it. What am I supposed to do to translate? You have millions and millions of people constantly emotionally confused, freaking out, trying to be happy in a world that's miserable, constantly emotional, constantly thinking, constantly frustrated, constantly not trying to be frustrated, constantly all of these things. Take that crap, massive crap ball, take it, and now what do you have? That's her. No crap balls with her. She's super. She doesn't associate with those constant sounds and neediness and confusiness and all of that. I'm still here with her. This is also you. There's a bird that comes and lands on her finger. She's studying the bird with her eyes, but she's also simultaneously gathering insane data. like a super freaky computer. She could see every past life associated with the soul of this bird. She could examine everything about the bird's soul instantly. She just knows everything there is to know. Not just about this bird, but all the other birds that this bird has ever met. All the other insects this bird has eaten. Everything about this bird. Instant awareness. But it's not like us trying to catalog through all the details. It's just an understanding, and that is all. For us, it'd be like 10,000 paged book of data, and that still wouldn't be enough. For her, she just translates it and feels joy in her heart in a single moment. That is the difference. They're asking, What is your level of awareness? What is your level of higher self? What is your level of comprehension of a higher realm or higher reality? What is your level of, where are you at here as a human being? Where is she at? Where are you at in comparison? It's for you to think about and explore. I see a version of you walking towards her. You are slow to walk towards her. You are really thinking about, who am I? How will I ever be like you? What does that even mean exactly? Could that even be possible? Could I even be of that kind? You're like a child and you're very slow and you're really unsure of yourself. She's been waiting for you to choose to be sure of yourself already. There's some part of her that it's intolerant of choices to, we human beings, when we fear, now we delay. When we question, now we start to delay. What would be divine timing? So what is divine timing now? It's always associated with where are we at with our feelings, which is where are we at on our soul journey. She says you can speed up the experience of divine wisdom on your soul journey by choosing to let go of fears, by choosing to instinctively know that it is time, by choosing to be your higher self, is what she's saying. So she doesn't have emotions like, aw, it's okay, pat you on the head, give you a hug. It's more like, it is time for you to let go of being afraid. It is time for you to open up and choose to be who and what you are. To be I am. To be you, your higher self. And that's it. There's no questions. But I get that this, and I understand that. And I know she doesn't have any wiggle room for there to be that type of interaction. It is, you have no reasons to be afraid. Choose to be, and then be. That is her definition. That is how she is as a consciousness. It is being in total, she's in total balance of everything. Of her consciousness, of her higher, of everything. I don't know how to define what that feels like. How do you define being a reflection in an infinite reflection? And being entirely in balance with infinite reflections, like billions and billions and billions and billions of images simultaneously, simultaneous times, realities, dimensions, universes. How do you suddenly become instantly in the center of everything? Heaven, hell, evil, good, a billion alien races, alien insects, alien colors, alien perceptions, consciousnesses, thousands, billions. How can I define how insanely enormous infinite is? And then be a single pinpoint in the center of it all. And that is her. And that is also you. See how high up we are in understanding? Now it gives a whole new perspective to the look of feeling like you are drowning, and then accepting to be drowning, and then to remain underwater. And when you choose to stop remaining underwater and welcome yourself back up to the surface, I will be there. And when you choose to get in the boat and now find me at the top of this cliff, I will be there. When you choose to enter into my super house, super castle, I can't see it, it's just whatever it is really tall, and enter my chamber and come out on this balcony and look across the horizon, I will be there. I will be ready for you. I've been ready for you. It is only you that needs to choose to be ready for me, to choose to start this now. When will you be ready? When will you choose to stop being afraid? When will you choose to just be? What is stopping you from being If you knew that this was truly who and what you are, what is that? How does that define you? What do you do with that wisdom? You say, no, that's not me. Or you say, that is me. Because that is you. That truly is you. Again, when you choose to say, that's not me. Whoa, we just went from the super tallest point to into the water, all the way down, and now we're breathing underwater and we don't even... There's something to that about the meaning of being way, way up here, higher vibration, or choosing to settle with being way down here and then even living underwater. About you. This is a goddess reflection. But what is this? What do we define this reflection, this higher self? Higher self as a physical... I don't know. I can't say that she's human because she doesn't feel... Because she's so beyond the experience of being human, it's hard to say that she's human, although she has human features and she's female looking. I mean, she looks like a human being. She looks like a female human being. But she also looks taller. And more of her curvature is sort of elongated. And she's sort of in this garb that is... I don't know how it seals to her body. It does not look tight, though. It's sort of relaxed. But you can see all the curvature of her breasts, her shoulders, her arms, her hip line. Just all of her female curvature is extremely present, even though she's wearing this garb. She reaches her hand out to you. When she does that, she starts to glow. You start to feel even more weakened and sort of afraid, more confused, more choosing to be human and not this. There's more resistance in you when she does that. I know why that happens. Because ego freaks out when it is approached with a request to go higher than the ego. Ego doesn't want you to destroy it. It wants to stay alive. It wants to survive. So ego wants to still be alive and surviving and thriving. How does it stay alive? It can only stay alive if you continue to just choose to be a average Joe human being, and then it can be happy. While simultaneously, ego is telling you, why you're never doing anything right, and why ego likes to put you down, but it's happiest when it is just thriving. And it freaks out and tells you, don't do it, don't go there, don't go to her. I will make you happy. You'll be happier just being an average Joe human being. You don't want to know what that's like. When it's really the most... I study my ego. I study human behavior, and ego is the most dysfunctional relationship I could ever imagine. It does everything it can to attack you and destroy you and keep you down at the pit of the ocean, but yet it wants to nurture you when you just choose to be a human being, but it also wants to destroy you at the same time. It's constantly lying to you. And so how do you override it? You stop listening to your brain thinking all the time. You just stop and you just choose to be happy and just be in the now. Being in the now helps to quiet the ego. And so there is a conversation about that. You just have to choose to trust and live in the now. It's not about what feels right or doesn't feel right. Evaporate the feeling altogether. Evaporate, what does this mean? What is this going to become of me? Maybe I'll fail. Maybe a lot of 1,000 different things. Stop listening to that voice. That's the ego again. Stop. Live in the now moment and choose to allow yourself to trust. It's okay. You're going to make it. You just really do not feel like you're of this high caliber. I mean, you feel like you're just a nothingness, a nobody. You don't feel like you're special or super at all. You just don't believe it. Even as you're stepping closer to her hand, she never stops looking down at you and smiling and waiting for you to touch her hand. All you have to do is touch her hand already. But you're just like, I don't know if I can. That's kind of what it's like. But yet you are making baby steps. It is quite scary when you finally touch her just lightly on the fingertips. I mean, it's scary for you. You're overwhelmed. But you're still gliding your hand more on her hand now. The glow that she shares with you is starting to enter into you as well. It's purging out what is like sod caked all over you. It's just falling. It's like dirt falling to the ground. It's like you were buried in sod that just solidified to your body. And once you touched her light, it just instantly dissolved that hardened dirt, and it just started crumbling off of you. Out of nowhere, there's just all this sod all over you just falling off. It's like, what? You buried yourself. Some part of you just... I'm feeling amazing warmth that is entering into your heart. It's releasing some energy out of the back of the head. It is helping you to know it's okay to trust because it is so insanely warm. You could not trust it. Your legs are getting stronger, even though there's some weakness to you, but there is also strength because of the warmth of the love. It inspires it naturally. There's just so much old energy we're pulling out of you to help you feel lighter and lighter, letting go of so many thoughts. I mean, just crazy amounts of thoughts on your head. And just battling with thoughts, but there's emotions involved too. There's other sort of beings of light entering in here as well. One on either side of this very tall female. You are sort of taking on the apprentice energy, and she is your master teacher, is kind of the way this is. She's also somehow a consciousness reflection of you, also your higher self. You see how blended in the oneness we are all the time? She is you on so many different levels. A physical incarnated version of you, a higher self version of you. A timeless version of you. She's just waiting for you to really grow and choose to acknowledge your greatness. And these two that came are also here to help, basically. You don't have a clue what to do. You don't have a clue how to fill those shoes. You already have filled those shoes. That's what you did when you stepped onto the boat and entered into her divine reflection. The boat started to spin, so you merged together. You are more in oneness with each other than you may feel that you are. You may feel like you are separate and that you are sort of the apprentice, long way to go to be there. But you already are merged. You already are that. In this now moment, the reflection of the consciousness is not convinced you are that yet, even if you are that. And so life itself has to train you into helping your consciousness to see that you truly are that. How do you help your consciousness to see that? You start acting or behaving as your higher self, and through every action that you partake in. How do you do that? You just start connecting with your heart portal. You start connecting with the deeper wisdom, that vein of your higher reflection. What does my higher self do? How does my higher self behave? What actions can I take? There's something to this. Though this is a big deal. You're actually walking towards her and starting to merge into her body again. She's giving you strength and energy. It's because the warmth and love that she shares, it really helps you to trust. It helps you to let go of more of the ego mind and more of the confidence challenges that we all face when we start to go down that road. When you start to go down the road of a higher spiritual reflection, the ego is going to freak out. You're going to have confidence issues. You're going to feel like you have nobody to talk to. Nobody's going to get you, because we are used to patterns of reflections that are all the same. And this is what normal is. When you start branching beyond normal, you start dealing with new versions of ego challenges. She is, again, this part of you that merged this very nervous part. We're still on the super amazing, super balcony. And so you've merged with her, and again, you are growing up into her head, her shoulders, her arms, her hands, her legs, her heart. Everything is merging together. And there's light that comes from her and comes from you as well. You now are her. And now we return to the scene where you are her, but you are also looking at this other version of yourself that feels weak and unsure and not of the same high caliber. Now do you understand why when you are her and you are looking at your own reflection in the mirror and it is some sort of pathetic version of yourself, you're just like, what is wrong with you? Don't you see you're already me? Don't you see how awesome you are? Trust me, as a human being, I get it. But that is also part of the wisdom, that you need to start looking into reflection. This version of you that is so weak, I mean, your hair is really stringy. It looks like it hadn't been washed or brushed in years. You're wearing tattered clothes. You look like, a 12-year-old, and you're dirty, you're filthy, and that seems to be good enough for you, because that's what average Joe energy is like. The feeling like this is good enough, when being good enough is actually being super awesome. Standing at the edge of the balcony and having this insane higher awareness, having a simple thought and being able to tolerate thousands of versions of understanding, having a total pinpoint in the center of a massive and infinite reflection, and that's actually normal. That is actually normal. However, as human beings, we feel normal is this. But that's not normal. Normal is actually her. Her is normal. So you need to merge with the actual true reality of who and what you are. That's the wisdom that we have to share with you for this reading. That's the wisdom. I'm examining anything else here. I'm examining the whole Cryon thing, because that really threw me for a loop today. And now it's sort of interesting, because he was a part of those journeys. They just show me that his energy or his infinite spark is also a part of your infinite spark. It's also part of my infinite spark. It's part of all of our infinite sparks. And it's really beautiful, because I can feel his infinite spark within your heart, helping you too to grow. There's so many souls that love us here as incarnated as human beings. So many super amazing consciousnesses that are helping us infinitely on an infinite scale that we humans couldn't imagine ever attaining that. But to them, that would just be natural. To Cryon, it would be just like it is to her. But I'm only supposed to say that I just see Cryon as a beautiful spark within your heart, and helping you to grow and to trust just as much as so many others who are as well. There's something of this higher wisdom about the infinite balance of all, the infinite balance of your reflection. Going from what is this human being to what is this insanely extraordinary super being. So that's it. That's all I have to share. All right, Jackie, thank you so much for this experience. I can't wait to see what you think. And for those of you who are watching, if you're interested in connecting with me one-on-one, I do share spiritual healing and psychic wisdom at my website at abbynormalswisdomquest.com. Thank you for watching.